Hi everyone, I'm the plant propagator and welcome to my channel. Today it is yet another warm and humid and sunny day here in Southwest Florida. It is 90 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 32 degrees Celsius. I know these numbers because I say them over and over again. The humidity's gone down a little bit because the heat index, it only feels like 103 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 41 degrees Celsius. So it's a warm day. It's okay, got a little bit of a breeze, so it's okay, but it's still morning, so it's gonna get a little toastier this afternoon. What I want to do today is something that I haven't done in a while. I want to give you an overall tour of my orchid growing space. So we'll take a look at the estate, and I'm just going to show you the backyard. And my orchid growing space is pretty small, but I've got what I think are enough orchids in this small space. So it's all good, and I want to share that with you. Before I do that today, I want to also share with you that if you're not a subscriber, I would appreciate if you would subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my content, so you can hit the subscribe button and become a subscriber to my channel. You can set it up so that you get alerts when I post new videos. The other thing is that I started just a short time ago, I started a member component to my channel. So if you're interested in becoming a member, if you want to take things to the next level, if you really like the content that I'm providing, you can click on join, and there's a fee associated with it. But what you get are some perks. So you get access to some new videos that are members only. You get access to some behind the scenes and what I'm doing. I share even more information with you about what I'm doing and the specific crosses that I'm making and the flasks that I'm generating in the laboratory. So I show you quite a few more things. There's some other things, if you're interested, you can take a look at, and I do offer some additional perks. But if you want to take things to the next level, I welcome you to join my channel as a member. Okay, so what I wanted to do is show you some of the orchids, well actually many of the orchids in my collection. We'll take an overall tour of my orchid growing space, and you can see many times with my videos what I do is I bring them down on my table that's right here. Yeah, small space, my table's right here. I take things down and I share just a few plants, but I want to take a look at overall things. We'll take a look at a lot of plants that aren't even flowering, and you know, new growth, buds that are formed, and I'll share some additional information with you. The other thing that I wanted to show you up front is this guy right here. So I'm excited about this because I bought this plant 3 years ago, and this is from Orchids Amore, and this is an Orchids odorata, and I bought it 3 years ago, and it was in spike when I bought it, and it has not bloomed since, but it is now blooming. It's got a small spike, it's a small plant, but I'm just happy that it has finally bloomed again in my space. Now what you can't see, and I'll show this to you, but the roots from this small plant are about 4 feet down, 3.5, 4 feet down, and they are way up in this tree that it's mounted on. And I'm kind of surprised about how little growth there is. They're slow growing plants. The plants themselves are not very big, but it's just starting to grow and catch on, even though I've had it for a while. So I got this plant because the plant propagator Junior liked it when I was shopping with her, and we just picked this up, and actually we picked up 2 plants. She took one home with her, and then I kept one here. The plant itself is really nice. It is, you know, I'm not a fan of the white flowers. She is, but it's okay, and it's here, and it's doing well. It's called an Orchids odorata because there's a fragrance associated with it. The fragrance is supposed to get stronger a few days. It just opened really a couple of days ago, and I would imagine that it's just now It's just starting to be fragrance. It kind of has a, I'm getting the hints of maybe a little bit of vanilla and cinnamon in there right now, but we'll see what happens. A lot of times when the orchids flower, the fragrances change over time. So right now the fragrance is just starting to develop on this flower. The flower shape is a little bit unusual. I'm not going to use this for any breeding, but I just wanted to share this flower with you because I've been waiting 3 years for this to bloom again, and it finally bloomed. And the plant itself looks really good, but again, the roots that are an indicator are way down and way up the tree. All right, so I wanted to share this at the beginning. What I'm going to do now is get behind the camera and show you the best I can most of the remaining orchids in my collection. I've got the fence behind me here. I've got the pergola behind you there. I have my orchid nursery where I have many of my seedlings. And I want to give you a flavor. Most people think that I've got a lot of space, but I don't. So I want to give you a little bit of an idea of my orchid growing space and the orchids that I have and how well most of them are doing. I'm not going to highlight my my area, my sick area, but I'll show you. I'll try to give you an overview of things. Okay, so let me get behind the camera and let's see how it goes. Okay, welcome to the orchid growing estate. Again, not much here. I'll show you the whole backyard in a little bit, but what I want to start out with is this is a vanilla orchid. This is vanilla pompona right here. So it's not the regular orchid that vanilla orchid that people grow for orchid flavorings and but it's nice and it's doing well. The thing is, it's mounted in this palm tree, and what has happened, if you take a look at this, you may not be able to see it very well, but what's happened to it is it grows out, and then the palm fronds fall down on it and clip the top, grows out a little bit more. Another palm frond falls, clips the tops, but it's got a new growth right here. So I'm excited to have that. The new roots come out of that you can see growing out on the left, and it attaches to the tree. And it seems to be doing okay for now, at least until another palm leaf falls on this thing and knocks it off. Anyway, I wanted to give you an overview of my orchid growing space. So that's right here, and I've got some shelves right over there that's got some small plants in my dens, and we'll take a look at some of those. I've got some plants behind my shed behind there, and we'll take a look at those. I've got vandas in the tree, lots of things on the fence as we go through. Some more of my orchids that are in more of my nursery space right back there. We'll take a look at that as we move through here. Again, most of the orchids on my fence back here, and as you go around, here is my orchid growing pergola, and that's it. That's my space right here. I've got a few more plants that are growing in the front of my house, but that's pretty much it right here. So let's take a look at stuff here. This is a driftwood tree of phals that are growing in conch shells, and they were all blooming when it was the right time to bloom, but now they're doing well, so it's fine. As we go through the space, I do want to highlight a few things, and we're not going to look at everything because I don't know if you're interested in that. It might take long, but there's a lot of dendrobiums that are on this shelf right here that are growing up into the bougainvillea above it. So this provides maybe a little bit too dense a shade, so I trim it up a lot. This thing grows really fast, but what you can see on these, and right here for example, you can see that's one of my seedlings, but you can see the new cane growing out, and those things tend to do pretty well. This is another one of my seedlings right here. New cane growing out right here. So these guys tend to do well in this location. I don't know if you can tell, there's a monster cane right there that's growing out. The main plant that's in there is, and I've shared this with you before, is Dendrobium wu lang. that's right here and right here. And so these flowers, and there's another flower spike that nothing's opened yet on it, is right there. This is another one of my dens that is on the same shelf. That's a no ID dendrobium, but there's lots of dens in there and they all tend to be doing pretty well. But what I wanted to emphasize is Wu-Lang and how big it is. You may not be able to tell how large these spikes are as they're coming out on this plant, but I've had to remove some of these because what happens is they fall over and it makes this thing really heavy. And so what I did, and let me show you this, is I had a piece of wood that I attached to my stand, and then what happened is the wood just cracked because it was too much weight. So all the canes from Wu-Lang were sitting on top of this wood, and I have to support it in a different way because there's a lot of flowers and heavy canes, and they're falling over. So that's a nice problem to have, I guess, when you have the plant's getting so big that as it's growing, it's knocking over what's supporting it. So again, lots of nice flowers on Wu-Lang, and more coming. This is just a really prolific plant. It's a big plant and not that big of a pot that is wired to my shelf. The one thing I do want to show you though is, and I've shared this with you previously, but there's a little bit more color development, and this is a Wu-Lang progeny. This is a self of Wu-Lang. So it's I really like the purple tinge in the petals on this plant. There's a little bit of it that also gets into the sepals, and there's a little bit of it in the lip, but you can take a look at this, and then Wu-Lang luckily is right here next to it, so you can get a good comparison of the parent plant Wu-Lang and then the progeny plant right here. And this is just a self of this plant, and right next to it here is a flower capsule that's developing that contains progeny from Wu-Lang, and it's still got probably another month to go yet. As we move through here, these are some of my nursery plants. These are some of my seedlings. Right next to it, this is a vanilla planifolia. So this is the regular vanilla, and this is growing from a pot that's on the bottom shelf that's about I guess around 4 or 5 feet down, and it's growing up and it's growing in through here. But these are again some of my seedlings here. There's more of my seedlings there, and then more of my seedlings there. So this is a nursery space, and what you have to be a little careful of with these with these seedlings in a nursery space is you got to be careful about any kind of pathogens that get in here dropping to the next level, then to the next level. So you got to really watch for any kind of fungal pests that get in there and remove the plants quickly. But if you take a look at them, they're doing pretty well. It's kind of hard to see, but they're doing okay. This is a really nice new pseudobulb growing out of this one. This one, I don't know if you can see the name on it. This is Benjamin, that I named after my son, who's Benjamin is his name. But there's a lot of nice seedlings in here, and they tend to be doing pretty well. This is a Florida native. This is an Oncidium insatum right here that's doing pretty well. It's the only one that I have of this one. All the other plants were given to other folks. Moving through here, I do want to show you this. So this is a plant that is about to bloom. This was a rescue, kind of, that I have a neighbor who had this. This is a cattleya. He had this cattleya, and I just grabbed a couple of pseudobulbs off of it. It was a big plant, and this thing has gotten pretty big, and now it's flowering. It hasn't flowered in a little while, so I'm happy that that is flowering for me. And his plant, it doesn't look good anymore, so I might just gift this back to him. It's a small flower, not really sure I like it. I do want to show you right here, this is another situation of a dendrobium that is getting way too big for its small pot that's growing out. And I moved this the other day. It's just getting really heavy. And so we'll see. I'm going to have to try this in a different location. This is a sibling of this plant right here. And the flowers look pretty similar between this plant and this plant, but the lip is a little darker purple. Still has the yellow tinge in the petals of this plant, but it has more of a purple lip to it. All right, just some more seedlings here, some smaller plants here. I do want to show you as I get through here. Let's take a look behind my shed, and these are, may not be able to see it that well, but these are all mounted orchids that are on a lattice on behind my fence here. And these are mostly burlap orchids. So there's some phalaenopsis back there, mostly cattleyas. And I just wanted to try them on these, growing them on burlap, which worked well, and then taking the burlap and sticking the burlap on these small cedar boards. And it's not working great. They grow much faster in pots, in the orchiata in pots, but it's okay, and the roots are grabbing on and they're doing well. These are some more of those right here, and as we move along, these are just some of the different plants that I have in my collection. Of note, let's see if we look through here. This is one of my seedlings that's doing pretty well here. This is a Encyclia tampensis that's on a piece of driftwood, and it's doing pretty well. You can see the roots are just really growing nicely on this. I do compare the mounting on the board versus growing in pots, and in my situation, the plants that I have growing in pots are just much faster. Either I need to water them more or something. I don't know. Okay, this is down here. This is clear stars, and this is a plant, and you may or may not be able to see. There are three. Let me get a little closer. There are 3 seed capsules. 1, 2, 3 that are starting to form on this plant. So I've got some progeny of this growing. It seems to do really well. This is a nodosa hybrid right here, but it's a big plant. You may not be able to tell. This is a big plant. Right next to it is Maikai. So I don't know if that gives you an indicator of how big this plant is, considering it's a nodosa cross. All right, moving along, there's another Oncidium right here. This is a Myrmecophila that is still, it might be kind of hard to see the blooms on that if we go up, but it's still got a few blooms that are left on this plant. Really hard to see right there, and then behind it right there. But anyway, this plant has been flowering for a long time. I must say, I'm not a fan. This is an Encyclia, where is it? Encyclia cordigera right here that has always done well for me. Moving down just a little bit, another nice seed capsule on this plant, which is my Odom's Grand Delight, which is one of my favorite plants. And I just have this in a huge pot in leca in a chair here. So seed capsule here, but even though there's a seed capsule, this is a constant bloomer, so that is a flower bud that probably be open in a few days. Okay, just some other orchid plants right here. Some cattleya types. I do want to show you this guy right here, mounted on my tree, and this is a hybrid that was gifted. It's a Gigantea, I think, hybrid that a friend gifted to my daughter, and we stuck it on the tree, and it's doing pretty well. It didn't do well for a few years, but it seems to have taken off. This is just the first couple of blooms that are opening on this. There's a lot more coming. You can see the flower spike right there, so it's gonna be blooming a lot more. But what's going on with this, guys, as with most of my vandas, it's going down, and then and that is a Rhynchostylis gigantea right there on the left side of the tree. But most of the roots are from this other vanda, and they grow It's hard for me to tell. I think you can see it. The roots grow pretty far up the tree, so it's doing very well. As we move around a little bit more, this is another Vanda. This is my largest Vanda right here that has not flowered for me. So we'll see how long. Oh, we got a visitor. All right there. I love these guys. They are all over the place. Okay, so moving back to the orchids. So this guy, again, this is going up the tree and completely down the tree. And this is a fairly large Vanda right here, at least large for me, and it's doing pretty well. One of my seedlings, another seedling from Wulang right here, mounted on this tree. Some more Vandas in the tree, but I do want to show you a few things here. This is going to be a long tour, isn't it? All right, so these are some of my seedlings right here. So I've got 3 flats of seedlings, probably about 150 seedlings, a bunch of different crosses that are in here, and they tend to do well in this location, so I'm keeping them here. All right, and then another rack of seedlings in the bottom. Okay, but I also want to show you, and I'm going to move around the tree a little bit to show you some capsules that I have forming on this Dulatiaca right here. So there's capsules forming. This is yellowing, and that I'll probably have to harvest pretty soon. There's another one right there. It's starting to lighten up just a little bit. So far, I made a lot of crosses on this plant, and I've harvested one capsule, and it didn't look like there was much there. So we'll see how it comes out, and we'll see if I get any seeds from any of these guys. But there were so many flowers, I just went crazy crossing, and I haven't gotten anything out of them yet, but we'll see. More of my orchids here. I do want to show you. It's kind of hard to see. Well, there's another capsule right there on this plant, but then I've got some more seedlings in 4-inch pots in this basket there. I've got another basket, kind of hard to see, buried down there. I've got another seedling in there, and essentially there's I'm at the point where most places I've got my orchids kind of buried in underneath the various bushes and trees on my property. I do want to show you if I can find it. Okay, we got to look right back here. So this is a seed capsule that is on my award-winning Cattleya lueddemanniana, that cultivar name is Propagator. So it's getting pretty big, and it's going to be ready to harvest pretty soon. But that's, as we go through here, you'll see. So there's a capsule there. There's a capsule there, and this is what I like to do. Looking around a little bit more, here is another Edisto times American Heritage, another division of this plant, and there's huge blooms in there. So this is in spike, and we'll see some flowers on that pretty soon. The other thing that I want to show you back in here is there's another Encyclia tampensis back here, and it is also making, it's hard to see, that's a capsule right there, and there's a few more on this. So as we move through here, more plants. Oh, I should show you. Never going to get through this, going too slow. I'm going to have to speed up. Some more seedlings. So these are seedlings again that are getting, I guess, kind of bigger in 4-inch pots. Right here, another one of my favorite plants. This is Mahina Yahiro Mishima, and capsule forming on this plant, but a good, nice, vigorous plant. Okay, moving on. Just as you can see in here, just a few more Cattleyas that seem to be doing well. I do want to show you, as we back up here, there's another Vanda on this tree, but then this is a Wulang, and this is a keiki that started as a keiki from Wulang. That is right here, but then look at this cane. So this is pretty big, and it's stuck on a tree. I don't know how long it's going to stay on there. This is, you know, it should be okay, but that's a big cane on that orchid stuck to the tree. That's how they grow. Okay, and this is where we started. So this is where I started, and this is the Varieties odorata. Just more orchids. We don't really have to highlight any of these things here. There's another seed cap. That's a stained glass piece. I do stained glass, and that's a stained glass orchid piece that I made that stays outside, and behind it is another orchid that has a capsule in it. Yay! But here also, and I'm going to highlight this in a future video, this is another Encyclia tampensis that is just loaded with capsules. And this is just in a, I think it might be like a 4 or 5 inch pot, but I'm going to get a lot out of this. Okay, moving through. This we've looked at previously in a fairly recent video. This is Big Dipper. And again, just more orchids that aren't really doing a whole lot that are on this fence. I do highlight, because this is what I do. If you can see the seed capsule on that, that is Momolani Rainbow. And then moving up to Dick Smith, which is right there, and with that big seed capsule on Dick Smith, that's gonna be nice. Okay, anyway, moving on. This is another Vanda, another fowl on my tree, and we can take a look at this. So this is the Edisto American Heritage that is still doing okay. The flowers are really fading quickly on it because it's so warm. I should show you this right here. So this is Darth Vader Dark Star. I think it's a Miltassia that's in spike right here. So I'm excited that I'm going to get a bloom out of this division pretty quickly. Okay, and then moving on. Not much that we need to look at. I had to divide my sherry babies, and those are right there. There was a lot dying on my sherry baby, so I had to divide them, and so all I was able to get were 2 plants out of it, and we'll see how they do. And then this is you got to stay away from it. This is my sick area that some of them are recovering and some of them are not. Okay, so moving around, let's head over to the pergola, and there's a few things that I want to highlight here. And so one of them is, if you can see it, so this is one of my catasetums, and the leaves are a little yellow on this, but it's just it's on the edge of my pergola, and it's pretty bright over here, but it's doing okay. I think this might be the Fred Clark Black Pearl. I think. I don't know for sure, but there's another Fred Clark hybrid right here, and then a division of that plant is right behind it, right there, I think. But let's highlight. I got to show you this plant right here. So this is another Brassavola hybrid. This is Mayaka Stars. And the interesting thing about this is that this is a tiny flower. This was a gift. Otherwise, I wouldn't normally buy a plant like this. But I crossed this with one of my big, bright red flared cattleyas, and I got a capsule, and I got seeds, and I got progeny coming. So I am so excited to see what I get out of this Mayaka Stars cross. This is a cross that was made by Jim Roberts, and it has just done really well in my location. The plant itself doesn't look great, so I'd be curious to see what happens. And since I tend to be focusing in on seed capsules, look at this. I don't know if you can tell. That's a monster right there. That is a really big seed capsule. Let's take a look through my orchid pergola. I don't think there's too much I need to highlight here. These, and other than what I just have some orchids. This is a Cattleya intermedia that hasn't bloomed for me yet, so I'm going to be excited when I get my first bloom off of this plant. As we go through here, a lot of these, they aren't doing much. There's another Encyclia tampensis right there. You can see some of the flowers that are still there. You can see some capsules that are forming. I don't know if there's anything noteworthy here really to see. This is the home for really a lot of my orchids that do well are up on the top of this. They get nice bright light. This is filtered through the shade cloth that's on the top of my pergola that allows about 50% of the light to come through, and it's aluminate, so it's reflective. It's not black like other people use. It doesn't absorb the heat, so it stays relatively cool, which is important here in this Florida sun. But this flowering caddis is Gretchen Garrick that I've highlighted fairly recently, and that's her home. And that's where she does, and she's doing pretty well here. And oh, I got to show you another. Yeah, so there's just some more seed capsules that are forming. So this is a seed capsule here on Love Blushes that is a Fred Clark hybrid. But that's pretty much it. I got baskets containing seedlings spread throughout my pergola there and a few other places, and I guess that's about it. My arms are getting a little tired of holding up my camera, and I'm sorry, I highlighted this recently. I don't remember the name of this nice cattleya here, but that's all I wanted to do. Oh, one more thing while I'm over here. Again, on the edge of my pergola, this is where I tend to put the catasetum. So I've got catasetum, and these are pretty big, and they get a lot of light, but they tend to do pretty well in this environment. So I just wanted to share those last two plants with you, and those are my chimes that are right now muted because they would be really noisy. All right, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed my long video. If you did and you want to keep on seeing them, it would help me out if you can click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. All right, that's all I have for today. Again, I hope you enjoyed it, and happy propagating.